So I shut down the business. I gave away all the listings, all the pendings. You got mindset issues? I don't know, is this the thing? Set one appointment a day, they disappear. Before you came in today, I sold 25 bagels. But because you have your name tag on your shirt, I'm gonna do this with you. And this last one is really tough for me to say out loud, but it is still true. I used to put my picture on yard signs like this, imagining that people would say, oh my God, that is the most handsome realtor I've ever seen in my life. We have to do business with that person. And in all seriousness, guys, our marketplace has shifted dramatically, okay? We went from 6 million transactions in a calendar year where everybody had FOMO, getting 30 offers on a property. You're posting shit like 30,000 above appraised value, which you had nothing to do with because you want to take credit for one, not the other. The truth is neither one had anything to do with you. So that's the environment we're coming from. To now, did 3.8 million in transactions from 6 million. That's a little less. Interest rates fluctuating dramatically. The cost of money doubling in 12 months. And we have 3 of the top 20 banks in the United States have to be rescued by the FDIC so they wouldn't collapse and there wouldn't be a contagion and a run on banks. I think we can say the environment's a little different. Whatever strategies or approaches that you were using in a previous marketplace are not going to work anymore. Reactive and waiting for people to show up, it's not a good strategy. That is a weight loss program because you will go broke doing that shit. So with the right mindset and the right skills though, not only can you survive, you can definitely thrive. Now, how do I know this? How do I know this the way the sky is blue and the grass is green? Well, in 2007, I was selling real estate at the University of Florida. And first year I made 13,000 bucks. Second year, I was on track to do 60 transactions and I get a phone call, right? I was prospecting, dialing for dollars. I had this uncomfortable feeling. I don't know if you ever had that where you have an uncomfortable feeling like you know something's wrong before it's actually wrong. That's kind of the way I felt. So I did something that I would never do, which is that I stopped dialing and I picked up the phone. And it was my dad. And my dad proceeded to tell me that my mom had just had a very intense, traumatic, health event. And he suggested that whatever I was doing, I should stop and come home immediately, which is what I did. So I shut down the business. I gave away all the listings, all the pendings, and I rented out the condo that I owned at the time, and I moved within a week, right? And then 2008 happened. And 2008, how many people experienced 2008? Yeah, okay, it's like a couple, right, in the room. So this is like popcorn and, candy canes compared to that, because there was 50% of all the sales were foreclosures and prices were dropping by like 30%. But that happens. 2007, and when I moved marketplaces, I was armed with 2 things. One was a really powerful mindset and 2 were skills. I knew how to pre-qualify, I knew how to set appointments, I knew how to handle objections, I knew how to present. Marketplace 2007, first 8 months, I did 17 transactions. 2008, when everything's imploding, I did 50. 2009, I did 75. 2010, I did 89. And 2011, I did 100, and I've never done anything less than 100 since. Let's clap up for that shit. So what that lets you know, I emphatically, this isn't like I read this shit. Guys are with companies that the people who give the training have never actually been productive in their life. They're mediocre producers that have actually produced in high volume. So I can speak this because I know it, I've experienced it. So I no longer sit in empty houses with cookies. I no longer put my name tag on my chest. Instead, what I do is I bang on social media, so when I walk in a room, everybody knows who I am. And guess what? They know my name. I no longer sit and walk around. I spent the last 15 years of my career, 2,000 homes, okay? I created a coaching company. We coach some of the top throughout the United States and internationally, 100 coaching clients, 12 make over $1 million. And within 10 months, we attracted 100 agents to our organization. Whether interest rates are up or they're down, whether the marketplace is sideways or it's straightways, it doesn't matter. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna share with you the mental maps, approaches, and because we're gonna do some role play. Role play, say I. Yeah, you notice the energy in the room? It's like, fuck, don't call on me, please. She's already turned red. Like, don't do it. But we're going to go over some mindsets, some approaches, and some skills that you can use to set one appointment a day. Because here's what I want everybody in this room to understand. Setting one appointment a day will solve all of your problems. You got financial issues? Set one fucking appointment a day. They're gone. Okay? You got mindset issues? I don't know, is this the thing? Set one appointment a day, they disappear. You're thinking about getting another job. Set one appointment a day and that shit disappears. How many people are up for this? Say aye. Aye. Good, now the energy's getting better. So the first thing is this mindset and mental map that I prospect for appointments, not for contacts. A lot of you guys end up with contactitis. Do you know what I mean by contactitis? You think the whole objective of picking up the phone is to count the number of people that you spoke to. The purpose of prospecting is to set appointments. That's why you pick up the phone. Does that make sense? Yes. Now, with regards to setting those appointments, come from a place of contribution. A lot of you guys try to lead with authority. You say things like, well, your home was on the market, I sold 15. Can you imagine if you went to the bakery and they're like, hey, you know this, but before you came in today, I sold 25 bagels. You'd be like, you'd be like, is this fucking guy serious right now? Like, what is this? Why do we do this? You know why we do it? Because we're insecure. That's why people lead with authority, right? So coming from a place of contribution, there are people out there that need our help right now. Death, divorce, job relocation, moving to assisted living facilities. Our job is to go and find them. While we're prospecting, it's not like, how can I get what's for me? It's more like, hey, how could I find somebody that I can help and serve? Does that make sense? Also, find out how you can add value. So what are some of the ways that you could add value to?
Helping them get what they want.
Yeah,
obviously.
Good. Helping them get what they want. How else can we add value? Look at this gentleman giving up his seat. That's what I'm talking about.
He did it first.
Oh, okay, good. He led the way. Way to go, team. How else can we add value?
Provide information.
Okay, information. Now, here's what's interesting about information. Do they have access to all the information that you do?
Yes. Somewhat, they do.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And then this authority thing, really stop trying to do that. While your home was on the market, I sold this home. Who cares? Nobody cares. Right? I never lead with authority. The only time I'll lead with authority is when somebody challenges me directly. So if they say, hey, well, like, why should I list my home with you? Well, I appreciate you asking. What I'm about to share with you, it's not to brag or boast. It's just to answer your question directly. I've had the fortune of helping, 100 families a year get their homes sold for 10 years in a row. So it's not a question to me of whether or not I could or couldn't help you. I definitely can. It's really just me trying to figure out what you're looking to accomplish and why, so I can help you to get what you want. Does that make sense to you? Right? So doing that in a way that's not like super braggadocious, it's a humble brag. But leading with, stop trying to lead with that authority and only bring it up if they bring it up. Make sense? Yes. Yeah. And a key phrase here is you can get whatever you want in life if you just help enough people get what they want. Do you see what I'm saying? This is really about how can we figure out what it is that they're after and then help them to accomplish it. So there's two things that we're actually selling. Do you know what they are? We're trying to sell all these other shit, and we're selling time and money. So just so I'm clear, in terms of what you want, because that's what's most important, how soon would you and your family like to make this move happen? What would happen on the outside chance if we were still sitting here 6 months from now and the home wasn't sold? If we were to get your home under contract in the next 30 to 45 days, would that create a problem for you and your family, or would that be okay? All of those are questions around what? Time. Second factor of setting an appointment a day is to role play constantly and consistently. When we've gone from a marketplace that was a speed market, how fast can you get to the lead? Whoever can get there the first is the one that's going to get the business, right? To now being a skilled environment. Whoever's the most skilled is going to get it. And that's a problem for a lot of people. Because a lot of people aren't that. You notice the energy in the room? So let me ask you a question. No bullshit. This only works. We're amongst friends. I was very honest and transparent with regards to things I regret. So I expect you to do the same. No bullshit. How many of you guys role play and practice consistently for 30 minutes a day, 5 to 6 days a week? Yeah, here's what's interesting.
With another human?
With another human. That is the requirement, yes. Everybody wants the 1% outcome. We all want to be chiseled and ripped. I'd love to be able to send fucking the Philippines to do push-ups for me and I get the benefit. That would be fantastic. So when we shift to a marketplace that's a skill-based market, you need high-intensity training with high-intensity feedback. So stop trying to tell yourself a story that I don't need to practice at this. Just promise you're not that cool. If you think you're going to get by on your personality, it's not that fucking great. If you think super cute and that's what's going to do it, I promise you, you're not that cute. This is a skill-based business, period, end of story. And without the skills, what ends up happening is that you get fired. And the way you get fired is by a lack of deals and lack of opportunities. There's no securities in this business, only opportunities. But if I can get my skill to such a degree that if there is an opportunity, there's an 85% chance that I'll be able to execute on it, I've just created security for myself and my family. With less opportunities, we have to skill up. There's no way around it, right? And this volume over time thing. I was talking about the 1% outcomes. People drastically underestimate. I really do believe the reason why people don't get the outcomes that they want in life is because they are completely unclear and hallucinatory about the amount of volume that's required to put in over an extended period of time to get the 1% outcome. Do you know 95% of the US population makes less than $120,000 a year? 95%. If you're in Publix and there's 10 people in line, 9 of them make less than $120,000 a year. But we all want the 1% outcome, right? But when I asked everybody how many people practice on a regular basis, there were 3 in the room that raised their hand. But you know what's beautiful about this is, okay, do you have control over interest rates? No. Do you have control over what the fuck the government does to bail out banks? No. Do you have control over what's happening in the Ukraine? No. Do you have control over this?
Yes.
Interesting. But yet, what do? We sit in the news and we're like, I don't know, it's all this shit going on. Well, you're focusing on something you have no control over. You have control over this. And here's what's dope. The most skilled people in any economic environment are always in demand. The unskilled ones, you know what they do? They're at the whim of the market. Marketplace is great, they make a bunch of money, post on social like they're hot shit. Marketplace is bad, they have to get another job. Do you see? Mm-hmm. Skills is what equals it out. I personally role played twice a day, 6 days a week for 3 years. Volume over time, twice a day, 6 days a week for 3 years. That's why I can comfortably sit in front of a room of people and be like, yo, you role play whatever you want. So if you want to get paid like a professional, you need to practice like one. Next point, setting 1 appointment a day. Expecting 3 to 4 hours a day. I don't care how you do it. My chosen method was the phone because you can be very efficient on the phone. You can cover a large kind of area in a short period of time. 3 to 4 hours a day minimum. That's only if you want to set an appointment a day. Now check this out. 3 to 4 hours a day, 5 days a week is a part-time job. So why do we treat this not like a real job? Why do you think this shit is optional? And then when people do it, we're like, oh my God, you prospect every day? Bro, if the guy who cuts your grass came up to you and you're like, hey man, I'm kind of a big fucking deal. And you're like, well, what is it? And he's like, every day, I cut grass. What would you say to him?
That's your job.
That's your fucking job. But that's what we do in this business. We see somebody who prospects every day, we're like, oh my God, how the fuck do you do that? That's your job. To be in the presence of prospects every day. Stop telling yourself this story that it's like optional. Like it's like superhuman. It's not. It's what you signed up for. This is a key phrase. A day not spent prospecting is a day not spent in business. So let me ask the question again. How many people, no bullshit, this only works if we're honest, every day for 3 to 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, spend time prospecting? Show hands. Good. But notice, it's a small percentage of the room. Everybody else is just waiting. I should get the money because I deserve it. Hashtag thriving. Next thing we need to do. 2-a-days. I know, he's squinting. What does 2-a-days mean? I know boy knows what 2-a-days are. So you play collegiate football, right? Yeah. So what does the word 2-a-days mean? I played high school football, so I know what 2-a-days means to me, but what does 2-a-days mean to you? How interesting. And I'm wondering, so the first practice, you know, it's probably in the morning, a little crispy. Second practice, though, what is that one like? Dreadful. Why? Because I'm already tired. It's hot. I got to put on that I had on like 5 hours ago, right? And then we got to get after it again. So if you want to set 1 appointment a day, 2-a-days would be required. Now, what do you think by 2 days?
Twice a day.
Not 2 a day. If I have a minimum standard. This is what I'm going to do. And if I don't have an appointment, it's better. That's not working.
That's what I tell my wife.
Right? Yeah. It's not working, dude. So two-a-days. So the question is I had a mentor one time say to me, I'm like, hey, this is what I want. I want to make $1 million a year. I want that. He's like, interested in that or are you committed? And I said, what do you mean? What's the difference? Where if you're interested, what'll happen is that you'll use all of these excuses as to why you're not able to do it. So you'll be like, my dad was a furniture repairman. I had this shit that happened, the economy, interest rates, like all this stuff. You'll use other things as excuses. But if you're committed, you'll do whatever the fuck needs to be done in order to get it done. In order to play collegiate football, did you have to be committed? How many sacrifices did you have to make to do that? Time, energy, effort, resources, right? Say no to things other people were doing at the time. And here's a key phrase, write this down. I do not stop when I'm tired, I stop when I'm done. Focus on the opportunity, not the obligation. So there's $50 million in commissions every month being paid out. That is the opportunity. What you guys focus on is the obligation. You tell yourself, I have to do this. Whenever I feel like trapped or I feel like constrained, it's because I'm focused on the obligation, not the opportunity. This is a recession. I can't buy the Christmas presents I want. I'm like, no. I have never in my life seen anybody in the United States sit online for 6 hours to get rice and beans and people with machine guns there to make sure people don't freak out. Or go to a school that has barbed wire and like 16-foot fences. You get to stand in air conditioning, blah, 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 hop in a couch, blah, 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 some more, scribble, scribble, and make $10,000. And then Brian, you did something that was pretty dope is that you, how much does it cost to put a kid through school for a year?
Like $200.
$200. Guys, this is the opportunity, man. Focus on the opportunity. Look, key phrase, write this down. I don't have to, I get to do this. I don't have to do anything. I get to do it. This is a privilege. And the way that I perceive this is if I don't make the most of this opportunity and get my shit together and be organized and disciplined, it is disrespectful to all the people who don't have the opportunity.
That was good.
Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. So now we get to the fun part. So one of the things that are critical if you want to set an appointment is to learn how to overcome common objections. Okay? So I want you guys to say to me, what are objections that you hear all the time? You're calling people, what are they saying to you?
I'm just browsing.
I'm just browsing, just looking. Okay, good. What else?
You guys call me every day.
You call me every day. Okay, good. What else?
If you get out the market.
I love it when people call me a name my mom didn't give me. That's good.
Wrong number.
Yeah. What else?
Wrong number.
Wrong number. What else?
Commission.
Commission? Your commission's too high. Okay, what else?
Have another agent.
Have another agent? Love that one, don't we? Yep. What else?
I have a family member.
I have a family member, a sister's, uncle's, cousin's brother who's never sold a home, but like I want to sell my home with them. Yep. What else? Where were you when it was on the market? What else?
We want to wait.
We want to wait. What else?
Check back in with me in a month.
That's a variation of we want to wait. What else?
Not reducing my price.
Not reducing my price. Okay, good. What else?
It's too early.
It's too early. It's too late.
But it is. I don't get that.
I don't like realtors.
I don't like realtors. What else?
Just bring me a buyer.
Market already.
Huh?
I know about the
Yeah, I'm omniscient. I know everything.
I'm gonna rent it.
I'm going to rent it. What else? You know what's really cool is in 2 minutes, we fucking ran out. And these are the things you guys are afraid of. Like we literally ran out. Now I'm curious, are sellers going to seminars trying to figure out like how to come up with new objections? Are they sitting in a class like this one where a guy's like, hey, you want to say this to them? No. Right? But here's what's interesting. And if you noticed, as we were doing that, they all break down into certain categories, right? So a lot of them were time. I want to wait. It's too early, right? Call me back in a month. That's that category. Another one is my price, commission. That's like money, right? Another one is I have an agent, my assistant's cousin's brother, whatever. That's that one. So you notice there's really probably only 5 and they're all variations of the same thing. So all I need to do is have a few answers for each one. And then guess what? You're fine. Let's do like, we have another agent.
Okay.
So go ahead and tell me that.
Yeah, Aaron, I appreciate your call, but I'm already working with another agent.
Okay, yeah, and that's awesome, and I appreciate your willingness to share that. You know, what I'm aware of is that, you know, being that this is a business transaction, that it usually makes sense to get more than one opinion just to make sure you're making the best choice before you end up in a multi-month contract that could cost you time and money. So I'm curious, like, if we were to connect under normal conditions, would you usually be available in the evenings or the afternoons?
I mean, you can send me over what you have.
Okay, yeah, and I'd be more than happy to do that. And I guess I'm wondering, as far as like this sale for you guys, what's really important for you? A home that's in a great geographic area. I'm asking, was there any particular reason you were even considering selling it?
Yeah, we're downsizing. I mean, it's time to, you know, it's a huge house. We've had it for a while.
Okay.
We'd like.
And as far as the home is concerned, have you done any major modifications or changes that you think would affect its value, like kitchen, bathrooms, or flooring?
We updated the kitchen, baths, and, you know, we put a pool.
So as far as what you want, because that's what's most important here, how soon would you like to have it back on the market for sale?
Yeah, we didn't want to waste any time. Like you said, if we can get it under contract within a month or so, that'd be key.
I'm wondering, if we were to connect under normal conditions, would you be available in the evenings or the afternoons?
Afternoons are good.
Okay, and afternoons for you, is that like around 3 or a little bit later at 5?
4 could work.
4 could work? Okay, great. So what I'll do is I'll grab a pencil with a big eraser. I'll pencil it in for that time. I'll have my assistant give you a call just to call you to confirm, make sure that time still works. And if anything comes up for you guys, if we need to change it or move it around, we can always do that, okay?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, now before we connect, I just have a couple super quick questions to ask you. So I'm curious, and then we go into pre-qual. You guys can clap now. That's cool. Now, does that sound like that's the first time I've done that? No. Does that sound like I could do that in my sleep? Yes. You could wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I could do that. Yes. Right? Now, what most people do is when they say I already have an agent, they're like, okay, well, if it doesn't work out, let me know. Bye now. Right? But by continuing to push, and that happened to you recently, didn't it?
Yeah, I had this agent told me that he's gonna do it for 1%.
1%?
Yeah.
Wow. Now, is that 1% total or 1% on the listing side?
Guessing just for him.
Interesting. And did he mention, or he or she mention to you what they'd be offering out to another agent if they found a buyer that was ready, willing, and able to purchase?
He said 2% is gonna be fine, so total would be 3.
Interesting. So the total was 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I'm aware of is that you have options that are at your disposal. And whatever you decide, I'll support you 100%. Now, I'm curious, as the marketplace shifts and change, as interest rates go up and things of that nature, would you say that there's more buyers in the marketplace right now or less?
Less buyers.
100%. Now, being that there's less buyers and agents don't control what people buy, but they do have influence over what they see, if we offer out less than what's customary, what do you think that could do to our exposure?
I don't really care. I don't want to pay more.
Yeah, which I appreciate. And I understand that completely. And again, I just don't want you to do something that would harm you in some way. Mm-hmm. So if the intention is to get more, how do you think we're going to get more? If we show it to as many people as possible, or if we limit the people that we show it to?
I mean, it's a multiple listing service. It would be the same people seeing it. So it's not the agents deciding, it's the buyers who decide where to go see it.
Which I appreciate. At the same time, let me ask you a question. Let's say your employer, what do you do for work?
I'm in finance.
Oh, good. And let's say your employer came to you and they said, hey, I want you to do the same work for less money. How would you feel about that?
Not pleased.
Oh, interesting. You wouldn't be pleased. And do you think that possibly that could end up affecting showings? If you're saying to agents, we want you to do the same work but for less money?
To not very good agents, yes.
Okay, yeah, which I appreciate. You know, at the same time, they're 100% commission-based. And agents, the average agent in the multiple listing service, do you know how many homes they sell a year?
No, I don't.
4. So let's say an agent has somebody in their car that represents a quarter of their income for the whole year. Do you think they might be swayed or influenced by what they're being paid as a co-broke?
They probably will.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, so it sounds like we're in agreement and you're beginning to realize that the professional fee is one of the tools that we use to market the property. As far as what we offer out to another agent, they can find us a buyer that's ready, willing, and able to purchase. And we don't want to put you in a situation that's not beneficial to you as a homeowner. So the professional fee on the listing side is 3%. So now we're just talking about what we're going to be offering out to another agent if they can find us a buyer that's ready, willing, and able to purchase. And we have a couple options. And whatever you decide, I'll support you 100%. Fair enough?
Yeah.
So the first option is we can offer out a discount, right? offer out 1%, 2%, something of that nature. In doing so, though, the concern would be, as we just discussed, we would limit the exposure, and that could end up affecting how much you can get. You don't want to affect how much you can get, do you?
No.
Okay. So now we're just talking about what will be compensated. And again, I know we'll come up with something that's mutually beneficial. Won't be a reason why we don't do business. Here's my question to you, is if we could agree on that today, would there be any other reason why we couldn't get started right now?
Not necessarily.
What did I just do there?
Isolated the objection.
Yeah, I isolated the objection. It's called a set aside. Most of you guys verbally vomit about what you're willing to take, and then they go out and shop it. So I'm looking for commitment before we engage in that conversation. So if we can come to an agreement, would there be any other reason why we couldn't get started right now? Did I say next week? One of the reasons why you hire a real estate agent is based on their skills in negotiating. Because they're actually going to be having conversations about your price without you present. Have you thought about that? And I'm wondering, the last agent, when they were here, how long were they here before they radically adjusted their professional fee? 10 minutes, 20 minutes? They started with it. How interesting. So if that's their main mechanism, see, because 1% is only 1% out of 100%. 1% at 3% is 33%. Let me ask you a question. Would you lower your price by 33% to sell it?
No chance.
Of course not. I mean, you want an agent that is going to fight for you tooth and nail to get you every penny possible. That's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what the great news is?
I found one.
You found what you're looking for.
Sorry, I heard it before.
Yeah, you found what you're looking for. Let's just go ahead and take care of the appropriate paperwork and get started. Do you see what we're doing there?
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to have that conversation over the phone, right? Because I'm not able to bring all of my being to them. I'm not able to demonstrate value, right? Now, if they say, well, can't you tell me what it is? Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you asking. What I can tell you is customary in this price point, in this geographic area, is somewhere between 5 and 6% of the agreed upon purchase sales price. Quiet, right? Because I know for me, I'm okay with that. So if we're taking 2.5 or 3% on the listing side, we'll offer out that. Because I do know that that's true. If you offer out less than that, it affects showings. Yeah. If we can come to a day, would there be any other reason why we couldn't do business? They say, no, what were you thinking? Now, why do I say, what were you thinking? What's happening here? We're actually negotiating. And I want you to speak first. For that reason. Because I remember I had somebody on my team at one point, and her brother wanted to sell a house. And I knew it was her older brother, and I knew he was going to like beat her up and want to list it like super high. So I'm like, okay, I got to go on the appointment. So I went on the appointment. We listed it properly, got multiple offers sold for above the asking price. But while we're there, he was like, oh, well, am I going to get the family discount? And I was like, okay. In my head, I'm already like deducting a point. I'm like, all right. He's like, yeah, last time I purchased, like, you know, I got the family discount. I'm like, all right, well, for you, like, I'm sure it worked out. Tell me if we could agree on that. Is there any reason why we couldn't get started today? No. What were you thinking? He's like, I don't know. Last time she gave me like $1,500, and I'm like, you know what? We normally don't do that, but for you, it's fine. But it was like, you know, it was a 3% commission on $315,000. So I was ready to go down a point, but he was thinking 1,500. That's why you're like, well, what were you thinking, right? Now, also too, when you're in that negotiation, that tactic that I just used, it's super helpful. So let's say you're prepared to do 5. And they're like, well, will you do 5? If somebody's saying, will you do 5? And they say, yes, really fast. How do you feel? What we're going to do now is going to shift and have a formal presentation on EXP, the opportunity. If that's not something you're interested in, it's cool. We love you anyway. I hope you got tremendous amounts of value. We look forward to the opportunity to continue to add value to you. If it is something that you're interested in, we're going to go ahead and get started now.
Why do you create competitors for you in your own market?
Yeah, so here's what's interesting. Behind that question is a scarcity mindset. Is there's not enough. What I'm aware of is there's way more than enough. And collaboration is the new currency. I coach people that are in this room that are 30 under 30. You might say to yourself, why do you coach competitors? Well, for 2 reasons. One is, and I mean this respectfully, they're not me. Number 2, there's way more than enough. And the more people that I can pour into and build up and help them, that's a legacy. So now we're going to have a formal presentation. So if my mind is blind, what's up, my beautiful wife? If my mind, she is beautiful, right? Yeah. I watched everybody go like, whoop. So if my mind is blind to the possibility, my eyes will be blind to the opportunity. The harsh reality of this business is that most realtors are not planning for financial freedom. They are on a transaction treadmill, and they're not being coached. They're trying to wing this shit. Okay? Yeah, he's like, yeah, that's me. Okay? And I see really big challenges. Okay? So why is EXP disrupting? Why are the top agents all across the country making this change in record volume? They went from 20,000 agents in 2020 to 88,000 agents in 2023. Why is that happening? We've all lived through these massive innovations and changes and shifts. I had to explain to my son, who is 12, what Blockbuster was. The internet is what is causing these huge disruptions. And the same thing is happening in the brokerage industry. Because let me ask you guys a question. Between 2020 and 2021, did anybody go to the fucking office? I'm sorry, louder? No. Louder. Did it matter? Fucking didn't. Yet you all had the same expenses, paying for an office that nobody's using. This is what actually the CEO of Blockbuster said in 2008, 2006. Neither Redbox nor Netflix are even on our radar screens in terms of competition. Could Blockbuster gobble up Netflix?
He got a chance to push
He tried to sell it to him twice. Not fucking once. Tracked him down at a ski lodge and offered him Netflix for $50 million. And he fucking laughed at him. Now Blockbuster is not even on the planet anymore. Airbnb has a larger valuation than Hilton Hotel. They don't own any real estate. Here's the traditional real estate models. Feudalism, the way it's set up. There's a king or queen at the top. That king or queen at the top, what they go out and sell a region. Yeah, you know this is true. They sell a region. That regional owner goes out and they sell individual franchises. That individual franchise owner then goes out and recruits agents. Where are the agents on that? Peasants! They do all the fucking work, and do they ever own anything? Nope. You get a hat, plastic award. And you say, thank you very much for my plastic. I'm gonna post it on Instagram. Check this out. Still has definitions. Because like, oh, you know, I want to keep it stable, I want to keep it simple, like this shit. One is reliable and consistent. The second is an enclosure to keep animals in place. This is traditional real estate. This is what you guys settle for. No ownership, no multiple forms of compensation. Now, this is what it evolved to. So KW comes around and they're like, all right, well, we can do better than this. What happened was half the agents left. They went across the street. And Gary Keller was like, all right, well, what do we need to do? Sat down all the agents and they're like, well, we need to see the books, we need transparency, and we want to share in the profit. So he's like, okay. So he did that, and that revolutionized the industry. Because before that, it was feudalism. Now you can actually own a little piece of something, right? Now what's interesting about this model though is there's a capping mechanism. So you pay a certain amount into a cap, there's a royalty fee, fine. Now profit sharing, the problem with it is that you have $40,000 to $50,000 of expenses every month to run an office. I know because I used to own one, or part of one. So that means there's not that much profit, which means there's not that much profit sharing. Does that make sense? They're also having to lower caps in order to compete, which is creating that problem. This model worked for a long time before the internet. Make sense? So Glenn Sanford comes along and he's like, yo, we could do this better. What if we put the internet, what if we put the brokerage in the cloud? It's just a platform. That's all I want you to think about this as. It's just a platform to process transactions. So what this does, it gets rid of the region. It gets rid of the individual owners of offices, get rid of all the staff, and it makes you the owner. Okay? And you get compensated like an owner. You get lead gen, technology, training, health insurance, stock awards, rev share, collaboration. And now we have a vested interest to collaborate. Because I'm curious, in your office, how often do you get to talk to the top agent?
You asking me?
Either one of you.
I am the top agent.
There you go.
I'm the broker.
Okay, cool. Well then what happens is you need to pick yourself up and put yourself in a new garden.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Good.
What the advantage as a broker is.
We're talking about it right now. So what I'm aware of is this promotes collaboration. This is why you're saying, like, how can you, like, you know, I've known Brian for years. I used to pull on live streams, offering free coaching and all this stuff. Why would I pour into him? Because now I have a vested interest in doing so. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. You never get rich renting out time. You must own equity. Trading time for money, you'll never get rich doing that. You only get rich by owning equity. Let me ask you guys a question. How many deals would you have to do to become an owner in your current brokerage firm? You know why you don't have an answer? Because it's not fucking possible. You're destined to be peasants. Do you see? You get no upside in the mothership. So what this does, because the brokerage is in the cloud, you eliminate all of these monthly expenses and all of this like drag, people that aren't really creating tons of value, and then you get compensated like an owner. And here's how this works, right? Well, let me show you this. All right, so there's different forms of leverage. There's the leverage of labor, the leverage of capital, and then the leverage of content. So we don't live in a world of haves and have-nots. We don't live in a world of rich and poor. We live in a people who have leverage and people who don't. If I'm just trading time for money, I have nothing that compounds. Does that make sense? Like real estate is awesome because it's a tool where you can raise a lot of cash quickly. But the problem is when you do a deal, you got to go do a next deal. You have no compounding element in the business. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, in terms of like the innovation curve, how it's gone from 20,000, it's now 88,000. When something's new, you have the innovators, 2.5% of the growth curve. People who see something first. Everybody thinks they're crazy. Do you remember what it's like when the Teslas came out? Everybody's like, that's fucking crazy. You're gonna charge a car? What the fuck? Right? I remember the first time I put my credit card into on the internet, you were like, I don't know, like that's fucking weird, right? And I know I'm dating myself. A lot of you guys, like you just do it all the time. So there's the innovators. Then you have the early adopters. These people have a higher tolerance for risk. Okay? That's 13.5. Then you have the early majority. These people need these people to do it so they feel safe. Then you have the late adopters. These people have FOMO. They're like, fuck, I'm missing out on this thing. Then you have the laggards. Those people still have flip phones. I believe with what's happening right now in our industry, this opportunity is here in the early majority. Enough people have done it that people think it's safe. Now check this out. Where is all the growth? Right in the stage that we're in. 68% of all the growth happens right now. Now I'm curious, as the marketplace declines, are people in need of real, tangible, tactical information that can actually help them? Yes. Are people looking at expenses more? Yes. Is it going to be an unbelievable opportunity for agent attraction? 100%. Myself and team, we've 103 agents in 10 months. I'm going to be bigger than the office that I left in 1 year. You know what the difference is? I own it. Make sense? Not only that, brokers are having to compete with me for agents. Is that a fair competition?
How do you own it
I'll explain it to you.
as a stocker?
I'll show you. So, but here's the question. Is they're having to compete with me for agents? Let me ask you a question. Is that a fair competition?
No.
No. Do any of them have Instagram accounts? Do any of them have a podcast?
Yes.
Are any of them posting 24 times a week?
I don't think so.
Have they ever actually sold 2,000 homes in their career? See the problem this creates? Okay. Are you going to be this agent? 60 fucking 70 years old talking about contacts and listings?
That's consistency.
Is that the retirement plan right there? Right, so when we look at the cash flow quadrant, this comes from a book called The Cash Flow Quadrant, Robert Kiyosaki. These are different ways to earn income. There's an employee, there's self-employed, business owner, investor. 95% of the population earns income on this side, has very little tax benefits, and requires you to sell time for money. Only 5% earns it on this side. A business owner, you own part of a system, and investor, you invest money. Okay? So what this model does is it puts us over on this side of the quadrant. Okay? At your current brokerage firm, you are here. All right, so what's my I'm done number? When I talk to people, they're like, okay, how much money would you need in residual income to not have to work for money anymore? What would be your number? 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month? What would it be?
More than that, 15.
15, 20. Okay, good. Now people throw these numbers out. Now let's do some math. $20,000 a month is $4.8 million invested at 5%. How much of that do you already have?
I mean, last year I did 4 million volume sales.
No, that's dope. This is $4.8 million invested.
It's different.
So the question is, how much of the $4.8 million do I already have invested?
Minus 100.
So you see what I'm saying? So we throw these numbers out and you see them on social, like 10,000 a month. Great, that's fucking 2.4 million in invested money. Now, in order to get 2.4 million, how much money do I have to earn? 4.8. Because I got to pay taxes, I have to live, I have to store the money and invest it. Make sense? So what's my dumb number? How much have I saved so far? How much have I saving per year? How many years will it take me to make up the difference? Am I in the right vehicle? Because what I realized, I was in a Honda. Do I strike you to be a Honda kind of guy? No, I'm a Ferrari kind of guy. And I wanted to be in a different vehicle, okay? So, I've been with the company 10 months, okay? In those 10 months, I have personally been responsible for bringing 31 people to the company. Those 31 people have brought in this for a total of 103. My revenue share check this month was $6,228. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. In order to get $6,000 in residual income, I would have to invest $1 million at 6%. So everybody understands YouTube, no? YouTube in 2009 said to all of their content creators, listen, if you create awesome content and keep people on our platform, we will give you half the revenue we generate from ads. Make sense? What this platform is the YouTube of real estate. So what they say to agents is if you're productive, the company grow, we will give you half the revenue that we generate.